Hello there. Good morning. Good afternoon. I hope you're doing fantastic.
Recording in progress.
This is Ian from the famous Auto Hub show. This is our weekly podcast on for Fixed Op. So we're going to start with a quick video. And this is actually from an interview I did for a gentleman who
Recording stopped.
who actually does he does promotion for it. But let's start with the video.
Progress.
Okay, let's get rid of that
Recording
one.
stopped.
Let's get rid of that note taker. Okay, here we go. Come on.
Yes. Really? When I say
So that's a little piece of the AJ Tacito interview. We talked a little bit about service and service campaigns and campaigns at scale. AJ does a lot of campaigns, thousands of campaigns, but obviously that's only part of it. So anyway, let's start with the quick intro and then we'll get right into it. And happy Friday. Here we go.
Right.
Here we go. And that's the whole intro. We are looking for sponsors for the show. So if you are interested in sponsoring the Fixed Op show, the show is live every Friday. We actually have two guests today. We have John from Numa. If you're not familiar with Numa, you really need to know more about Numa. And we also have Russell Hill, the one and the only from Fixed Ops. So he's going to be speaking second, obviously, because he's the second one on. And we'll probably have Larry and some other people straggle in, being it a Friday afternoon. But John, I don't know if you've been on the show before, so maybe you could tell us a little bit about Numa, because obviously if I do a campaign, that's great, but who's handling those calls as they come in, be it a service campaign or whatever? So tell me, what do you think dealers are doing wrong with the telephone in your case, after they do, I don't know, maybe a targeted campaign, maybe just a general campaign? What do you think?
I think there's been a shift in the last couple of decades of allowing the employee to dictate the terms of engagement with our customers and not allowing the customer to dictate those terms.
All right. And tell me more about Numa. What is Numa all about? And what do you do at Numa?
So I work strategy with the OEMs and strategic partnerships.
Okay.
And really high level, Numa is a communication platform that sits at the center of the technology stack.
Okay.
Integrate with all the existing systems in the dealership and it leverages artificial intelligence to be able to handle most of the inquiries from a customer in service, whether it's scheduling a service appointment, getting a status update, just calling in for general questions. We believe in humans first, so we allow the humans in the store to try to interact with that customer and answer the phone or answer a text message. The reality is in fixed ops and in our vertical is those people are the busiest people in the dealership. So they miss a ton of phone calls and inbound communications. And Numa picks up and is kind of a safety net and then helps facilitate whatever that customer needs in real time rather than getting lost in a legacy voicemail system.
Fantastic. So you're making it easy. In addition to someone else doing the non-heavy lifting or doing the heavy lifting for a dealer in terms of campaigns, you're also handling that, I guess, fallout of a successful campaign so that the dealer gets the maximized return on that investment. So the one, the only Russell Hill, introduce yourself and tell us more about what dealers are doing wrong in the service drive in 2025.
Oh my God. I'm Russell. Yeah, I'm co-founder and managing partner of Fixed Ops Marketing. What are they doing wrong? Well, we're addressing the same stuff we've been addressing. This is my 40th year in the business. Back then, repeat, refer, retention, no time. Advisors, technicians, equipment failures, reporting to the GM, Fixed Ops Director, corporate Fixed Ops Director, the OEM, and they don't have any time and they don't understand leadership and embracing technology to help them. Is that about, that's not counting what I would have to say about what's going on their website, which is absolutely brutal. But it's the same old stuff, right?
So it's just a few things that maybe they need to enhance, including maybe, I don't know, having a game plan, executing, using technology in the right way, those kind of things. Is that kind of sum it up?
Yeah, pretty much. And, when we're talking about their website, they're leaking thousands to tens of thousands of dollars. It's not relevant, or there's nothing there. It's not engaging. It's not educational. Matter of fact, all you can really quantify is the 20% nationally of people that actually schedule service. Beyond that, you don't know who those people are. You don't have any way of tracking them. It's just, it's pretty brutal, man.
It's a cluster. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's a cluster,
okay.
And it's a wonderful opportunity for all of us today, right?
Oh, absolutely. And we have Larry. I'm not sure where he's at, but Larry, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about what are dealers doing wrong in 2025?
Right.
Well, I just got off a plane. Timing's good. They're doing everything wrong. You still have dealers that aren't making it easy to buy tires or get an oil change, or not telling people that, I can get you in 2 weeks. They're not, working with the variable, because I still can't understand why every salesperson isn't doing a service walk mandatory, just as mandatory as a demo or a walk around.
Right.
But the good news is, at some point, with all the OEM things and all the craziness that's swirling around, maybe at some point they'll realize how important used cars are and fixed ops are, and that unlike the OEM new car product, this is something you can actually control and make successful, particularly if you hook up with the fine gentleman you have on this show other than myself.
Fantastic, Larry. So, John, let's just say we have a little bit of a cluster problem in reference to handling phone calls, making phone calls, handling, the onslaught of, recalls, tire questions, whatever. How can dealers remove the friction in their service drive and enhance CSI and profits? But not only that, maybe fill their service drive with customers and actually book up their technicians' time. Like, how does that work? How can they do that?
To kind of touch on Russell's statement, one of the challenges we have in our industry, especially in fixed ops, is our employees in the store are using legacy software systems. A lot of these systems are 30 years old, and we're expecting different results, right?
Yeah.
The customer has changed. They're expecting things now. And I alluded earlier, if we allow the employees to dictate our standards of communication with our clients, we're going to get silent defectors, we're going to lose dollars per RO, and our CSIs are going to tank. So I'm just going to give 2 very simple things that a dealer can do today and make it a focus, and it will increase dollars per RO. Your CSI scores will go up, and you'll start seeing silent defectors eliminated. And it's simple. If someone calls into the dealership and to schedule an appointment and someone cannot answer that phone, that call needs to be returned, or that text message needs to be returned within 5 minutes to schedule an appointment. If a caller calls in for anything other than that, status updates, pricing questions, parts questions, the goal at that point is 15 minutes. And I promise every dealer that's listening to this podcast, if you do 5 and 15 and make that your benchmark of communication with your customers, it's a game changer. It's a simple thing to do on paper, but it takes management oversight. It takes somebody looking at it. The benefit to the advisor or the appointment coordinator or the DDC agent is that friction now goes away. And especially for an advisor, you can have a great repair and terrible communication, and you're going to get slayed on CSI. You can have a terrible repair and great communication, and you're going to get a good CSI score. I had an example. I took a vehicle in for service. It took me 3 days to get them to call me back. And when they did call me back, they tried to upsell me other services. Guess what? You made me mad because you weren't calling me back. 2, now you're trying to sell me something? No, thank you. It's that simple. Communicate with your customers where they want to be communicated with and do it fast.
You mean they have options? They can call another store?
Yeah.
Those are silent defectors. Our OEMs can't figure out why we're only retaining 40% of our customers. That's why.
Yeah.
We're not keeping track of our customers, and we're not talking to them.
100%. I mean, when you look at the average service department, not only is it understaffed, that service manager, and the example I always used to give is you're sitting in front of a service writer at a dealership, and the phone rings when he's talking or she's talking to a customer. They can't really do it. Whatever they do there, it's a problem. I ignore the customer, I pick up the phone, it's a problem. If I don't, it's like, oh, that's why I can never get through to your service department, because you guys don't answer the telephone.
Yeah.
Russell, what do you think? Think that's good advice?
Yeah, excellent advice. Getting them to execute is another thing. I love the opportunity. I love seeing these guys and gals make incremental improvements, and to know that I was able to be of service in some way, form, or fashion. But we're still talking. It's just the equipment, all the outdated ADDs. I call them another damn dashboard. They have so many different dashboards. They can't even keep up. They can't answer the phone. They can't return people's phone calls. It's a mindset, but unfortunately or fortunately, speed of the pack is set by the leader. It starts at the top and filters its way down. And if you could get somebody, John, with what you said, 5 and 50, if you could get somebody just to do that for one day, see what kind of difference it makes, I think it would be amazing.
Fantastic. Larry, you have any thoughts on the things they should do or to do those things? I don't know where Larry's at. Anyway, let's roll forward with the next question. Go ahead, Larry.
Get all emails that I have.
No worries. Go ahead. You're having trouble handling those phone calls? Go ahead.
I think it's always the same thing. When I have dealers, and it seems like it's all dealers, that have a problem with service and sales being siloed, I always suggest sales service meetings. If we can tie variable in with fit, if we can make everybody understand the purpose and point of what Fixed Ops does, and how if you can retain customers through there, all the profits come back, and it's just crazy how much we lose in the back end. And I just think it's because we don't see unification. I think we need to, if we don't tie variable in with fixed more, and then tie it in with programs, like I said, with the other gentlemen you have on the show, with how they can improve at getting more customers in, I just don't think we'll ever get any farther. That's why Russell's right. It's the same as it was 40 years ago, because 40 years ago, sales presented service and service presented sales. Hasn't changed.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, when you're...
I certainly understand the technology, and what you guys are doing, John, is phenomenal, no doubt. But when I started selling cars in 1985, the average salesperson sold 10. 2025 is 9.7. We have all the latest and greatest technology, and we do. All of us are bought into this. It's not just to make money. It is to genuinely help them understand where they're at and what their future looks like, to stop this incessant bleeding that 16 independents have surrounded every franchise dealer with. And obviously repeat, I mean, all those things are absolutely, I'll tell you, the few that get it make it worth all the ones that we at least planted a seed with and gave them some kind of idea. The leadership has to change. It really does. They have all these tools on the variable side, and yet the insanity, right? Keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. So streamline, I think a big part of that is AI that's coming. And in the next year, it's gonna be light. It's gonna be so far ahead of what we see right now. To assist us, some of that stuff would be great. Do you think so, John?
100%. We can have the best practices in place, and every dealer does, but the failure point is always the human, right? We see our AI changing every 7 months, like drastically changing.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And it's going to continue to grow at an even more elevated rate. I believe within 2 years, if you're not utilizing AI to enforce those best practices, enforce the workflows, gain visibility into where we're failing, you're not going to be competitive as a dealer. You're going to have to be an AI native dealership.
It's funny you say that. I just read an article. It's on page 8. This very in-depth, deep CDK thing that they handed out at NADA just a few months ago. 31% of people right now calling for service prefer. Yeah, that one, Insights, on page 8. Yeah. They prefer to talk to an AI than a real person. 31%. It's incredible. I mean, it's just,
and that keeps growing.
Yep. Oh, probably exponentially. I mean, things are changing so fast, and we all of us are really bought in, and it is. Yeah, there's people out there that may give us a bad name, and it's all about the conquest and closing the deal. But I think that we genuinely on here, we really want them to embrace and understand. And change is really difficult. It really is, and I certainly understand it. As a matter of fact, unfortunately, it's the only constant. Growth is optional, and that's what they're choosing not to adhere to.
Fantastic. So what do you think dealers are doing right? I mean, I know on the show sometimes we beat up dealers a little too much. Sometimes we talk about what they could be doing, should be doing, might be doing. What do you think dealers are actually doing correctly today, especially on the service side of the house, to take care of customers? I mean, what do you think they're actually hitting out of the park on? Go ahead, John.
They've been doing it right for 40 years or more, right? When the customer's in front of them, they do a great job. They take the time with the consumer. They try to upsell when the customer's there. The problem is when you're looking at who's in front of me throughout the day, your time and face-to-face with that consumer is 2 to 3 minutes, where all the other communications outside of them being in the store takes 20 to 25 minutes. So we're focused on that very small period of time when we're talking, which we should, but that's why we're so good when the customer's in front of us. We need to look at that customer holistically, right? I need to take those best practices and those courtesies that when I'm in front of somebody, I give them the same courtesies in any communication channel. And that's where we're failing.
Fantastic. What do you think, Russell?
I think that I agree and disagree with you, John, because I'm just going to give you an example.
Okay, sure.
I have a dentist. I took my car in, I called, set an appointment, and showed up 30 minutes early. I was still 3 people deep. By the time the service advisor got up to me, here's what he said. No smile. Do you have an appointment? Are you freaking kidding me? How about hello, welcome back. I'm so-and-so. What's your name? I see a lot of that. And yes, I do understand what you're saying. Certainly, but that's critical to building the relationship, the walk around, finding out what's important to them, which, has to do with the time, the timeliness of the MPI, red, yellow, or green, video or otherwise, transparency in that, transparency in pricing, etc. So we can start to gain some of that back. I think that 5% are probably doing it right, and I think the other 95, they probably want to, But that's my experience. I've never been back since then. I go to my local Hyundai store because I don't have a standalone Genesis point here. I got to drive too far. And it's like, man, I mean, everything starts and ends with the hello, don't you think? I mean, a lot of that. I was going to go. What are they doing right? Here's what they're doing right. The onboarding processes are getting better. They're doing a better job of qualifying and hiring the right people, not just based upon credentials, but the character of who that person is and are they teachable. And then they're starting to modify and adapt versus the way that I'm assuming all of us grew up in the car business, where it's hellfire and damnation. You do this or you're out, etc. Vulgar language, etc. They're accommodating to all the different Gen Z baby boomers, part-time schedules, daycare, flexibility in this and pay, because it's not all about the money. Money's important, but a lot of people in the quality of time too. So this is stuff that I see them starting to do right.
Yeah. Larry, you have any thoughts on right? Larry, any thoughts?
He's had a big week running, man. Larry's been running hard all week long.
Larry,
Absolutely.
what are they doing right?
Well, here's the deal. I think Russell said it. I'm sorry, I'm in the car. I'm doing emails and all this stuff.
Yeah, I get it, Larry.
Russell went in with his Genesis, and the first thing was, do you have an appointment? I just got done training in Texas, and Russell heard me because he's kind enough to join me. And I said, we make a mistake in sales. We think that you close the deal at the end when you've already made the customer angry and your manager comes in. You start closing deals when you say, welcome to. Russell wouldn't be saying these things if the guy said to him, hey, welcome to our dealership. What can I do? Any specific concerns? So we can do what we always need to do, which is remember we're human beings dealing with other human beings. And in the time of AI and everybody getting pushed to things, hey, I tried to change the trip and I couldn't call Travelocity. It puts you through 97 prompts. So if we get back to being human and realizing these people are annuities rather than annoyances, and from the beginning act like we really want them to come back, just like with sales, I think we could make things right pretty quickly. Don't you agree, gentlemen?
Yep.
100%.
Yep. So I'm doing a show next Monday on Be Different or Be Dead for the general side of the car business. But when you're looking at, I guess in some cases a poor level of service, in some cases an average level of service.
Wait a minute, I have to interrupt, Ian.
Yeah.
Be different or be dead. You would never go to a funeral parlor and they'd say, what are you here for? They figure you're here so somebody dies. But yet all the time, stupid answers. I'm sorry, I had to jump in with it.
No worries. So I'm just asking, obviously the bar and service could be higher. The customer experience could be better. When you phone a dealer, obviously it can be better, obviously, and improved. And obviously that spending time with someone one-on-one is a good use of time, especially if you're trained to do that. But how does a dealer stand out when maybe they're stuck with the basics? Like they can't get the basics done. Like how do they do that? Like what do you think? Let's go with Russell to start.
Man, I'm gonna have to have you say that once again. My mind was reeling. Go ahead, say that one.
So how do they stand out, especially if they're mediocre? Like what could that have person done? Would it have been a cupcake? Would it have been like how would they could have turned that around, starting that with a mediocre response? Like, oh, you walked in, you had an appointment, they didn't know. Like, how could they have turned that around and be different?
They could turn it around by noticing something that otherwise a customer wouldn't hear. It could be something as simple as that. We don't really know what it is, but at that point in time, the level of expectation hadn't even been met with me.
Right.
If you rise to the level of my expectation, job well done. The only way you're going to get anything out of me is you have to exceed the level of expectation I have. That I will reach out. I will say something about, etc., because of how it made me feel. But they have to do something out of the box, something different. They have to notice something about me, about the car, and say something positive that you normally don't get. That's the only way to stop and pivot and have a remote chance of turning that around, because they may not even be able to put two and two together. It's like sometimes when I'm walking up to a door in a restaurant, and I do it on purpose. Looks like we're going to get there about the same time, right? And then I step up just the last couple of seconds, okay, and they think, oh, I know what they're thinking. Okay, they're thinking, oh, this motherfucker's just gonna try to get in for me, so I have to wait another. No. I stop and open the door for them.
Yeah.
Right, and say hello.
Yeah.
Oh, they're great. Then what do? They probably open the door for me. This just happened the other day going to Texas Roadhouse. And then as soon as we got in, I let him and his wife in. Me and my wife stood after. And as soon as they got in, they stepped out of the way and they said, you go first. I mean, it's just so that people remember that, right?
Right.
Here's what I do know. If people know they count, they matter, they make a difference, and they're part of something bigger than themselves, and they're noticed or their names used, just using somebody's name, you know how powerful that is? And getting it right? Just saying hello and then saying their name back to them, that's Dale Carnegie 101, how to win friends and influence people, man. People love to hear their name. Not only that, they love to hear it pronounced right, okay? I don't know, just some thoughts.
Fantastic. So yeah, I mean, obviously, John, when you're taking over some of this for a dealer, and maybe they haven't handled it well, and then Numa comes in and handles it really, really well. What is that enough for a lot of dealers to really increase that experience level for a customer? Like, what are you hearing from dealers on that? Like we couldn't do it before, but now we can do it a little better. What do you think?
We bring some sanity to the dealership, honestly, and that's what AI is going to do in the future for car dealers and really any other vertical out there. There are a lot of tasks that are repetitive and really aren't high value tasks that we make our people do, and it bogs them down for those minutes in the sun, right? The stepping up, shooting the free throw, right? So we've got to put our people in a spot where they can be the most efficient. We've got to train those people in those moments how to capitalize on those moments when it's greeting a customer or answering that phone call or sending text messages. Mm-hmm. If we can get the purpose of a service advisor is to be one-on-one with a consumer, mm-hmm. educate them, be transparent, and obviously upsell, right? How much of that gets done today? The bar has been set so low and it continues to drop, right? It's got to start at leadership. And we've got to look at these legacy tools that we're giving our people to use that don't even fit into our business model anymore. They're starting the day off behind the 8 ball because we're not giving them the right tools. They're driving a 1976 Impala, talking to customers driving a 2025, C300.
Yeah.
They're not equipped properly.
John, touche, home run on that. I hear, and I think I know what you meant, but first of all, I've heard some comments about Yuma, and it's been very good, okay, with the impact. Great company. I don't even know everything you do, but I know enough that you're really big into the market, and you're doing because I hear, the impact. In a few different places over the last, I think mostly last year and a half. I think that when you say train, and I think hopefully you understand where I'm going with this. I hear that word so much, train. No, develop, coach, and mentor after they're trained. That's the only way to ensure any kind of long-term success. Do you agree?
100%.
Larry, John? Okay.
100, I agree 100%. And the other thing is, I think in these difficult times, I think it's still a great idea to have somebody whose job is to just smooth things over. Someone because I don't care how well you do things, even if you do them perfect, Russell, you're going to have some people that are disgruntled. You're going to have some balls that drop.
No way. I'm not buying it.
If you have somebody whose job, because we all agree that a lot of problems in life, all businesses, but particularly this one, the auto businesses, not everybody knows what their roles are. Everybody thinks somebody else is going to handle something, and then nobody handles it. Yeah. But if you have someone that's directly connected to keeping an eye on CSI, making sure the customers are happy, following up, because we know we've been telling salespeople to follow up since Henry Ford started putting out Model Ts, and they do a horrible job at it. So I think having somebody dedicated to just making everything run smoothly.
I agree. I know the intent's there, but the road to hell is paved with good intentions. That's why the coaching, mentoring, and stuff like that, leadership has to get involved. They really have to. Managing is one thing. Oh, you light a fire under somebody, get them to do their job. Okay, how about leadership? Find out when you inspire, motivate, and educate somebody, and you find out their why, and you inspire them. That's leadership. And I'm starting to see a lot more of that.
And also, we had a comment, just so you know, we had a comment from LinkedIn from Janice Showers from the Car Girl. She said, "Hallelujah, answer the phone. Start there."
Whoa. But as far as answer the phone, I was at the dealership for about 2 weeks. I'll never forget it. And the GM was leaving, and the operator said, "Boss, you have a call." And he said, "Tell him I left." Now, what message did that send not only to the customer, but to everybody else that was within earshot? If it was somebody with a small problem and you solve it, you're a hero. If you let it fester overnight, the guy wants to kill you. What if it's a guy that wanted to buy 2 cars that night? Nobody picked up the phone. The hell with them. I'll go somewhere else.
Well, the same is true on service side, though. The same is true on the service side, Larry.
And if that doesn't flow from the top down, you're dead.
Yeah, but the same is true on the service side. If I have someone who's stuck on the side of the road and they're trying to get through to a dealer to help them, and actually a service like Numa or a dealership who has staff, they can help that customer versus them have to call around. That definitely sets that bar a lot higher, but more importantly, it set that expectation. So I think when you're looking at, the loss of customers going somewhere else, the retention numbers, it all starts with, can I actually talk to someone at a dealership, whether it's AI or whether it's a person, quickly? But worst case scenario, they're leaving a message. How quickly do I get back to them? Because if you
we went
can't
back full
start
circle to John earlier.
Yeah.
5 and 15, man. I mean, if you could just forget about it, focus just on that. Just on that. Try for a day, for a week. Just all we have, carpe diem, right? See, all we have is today. Just try it. See if it has any impact. No, don't even try it. Do it. Commit to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when you look at the third parties, to pick your third party, whether it be Jiffy Lube or Walmart or Minute Lube or Pickett, their experience isn't better than your average dealer, in my opinion.
And they're not cheaper either.
They're just looking for a solution. They call when someone's calling to get service on their car, they have a problem, they kind of just want help. So if you can help that customer, you can probably, I would think, reverse a little bit of that lost business and hopefully retain the customer. I mean, we did a show a couple weeks ago about tires. That's a big area. But I have a question. If I'm a dealer and I got, a BDC or a service team, I mean, what's the upside for them? Maybe having a company like Numa help them. Like, what's the upside for them? What's the uptick? Like, how does that help them? What do you think, John?
What we've found is communications are a black hole. And here's the example. If I'm a service manager, you guys have been around as long as I have. We used to have route sheets, and our advisors updated us at 10, 2, and 4 as a service manager, and knew with every one of these ROs, I've already called them and given them a status update, right? Or this car is going to have to stay overnight, and I communicate that with the customer.
Yeah.
The service manager did that walk 3 times a day. When we went digital with all of our ROs, the route sheet went away and that accountability and visibility went away. I walk through a service department, I guarantee you, any service department right now, service department's closed, and I walk through, every single phone in there's got a red blinking light on it. How many messages are there? How old are they? Am I losing customers because nobody's getting them back to them? You better believe we're losing customers. So Numa brings everything into one centralized visual dashboard. I know we don't want another dashboard, but we can incorporate other information like DMS data into Numa, so I can work from one screen and see everything that's going on in my store with every communication. And Numa's going to tell a manager, hey, this customer's been sitting for 20 minutes. Somebody needs to get back to them. Part of the AI has gotten really smart. So it can actually run a sentiment analysis on every inbound and outbound call and text message and understand if that customer is getting frustrated, if they're not getting their needs met, or if they're just straight up angry. And they can immediately notify a manager in the store that, hey, you got a heat case, and it actually labels it as a heat case and starts a clock. And if that manager has not picked up that heat case in 15 minutes, they're going to get notified again And if they don't do anything at 30 minutes, the general manager now gets notified. So now we've got visibility, we've got accountability, just leveraging the AI. Those legacy voicemail systems go away. There's no more red blinking light. You can't hide from a customer if you have a tool like Numa. And that's where it needs to start. When we talk about coaching, mentoring, training, setting standards, but we've also got to measure those standards and enforce those standards. I stack rank every single employee in the dealership. I can tell you their average response time back to their customer, how many status update calls they got, because if they're getting a status update call from a customer, we already failed the customer, right? How many heat cases they got, and how many escalations they have. And when I stack rank that and show my employees where they sit in that ranking, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm the last person on the list. I need to do a better job at this KPI or this KPI.
So instead of guessing or training them generally, you say, hey, well, Tommy has these issues, Jane has these issues, right? So you can really 100%. Look at it and dial it down and say, okay, now we can actually look at almost like a baseball player card and say, okay, here's the person really hitting it out of the park, but here's where they're weak. Versus, let's just call those people back and hope it works out. Or, hey, give me the hottest call you got, that I got to call back when I have a chance. I think that's part of the challenge in the service side of the house specifically, is that we're managing what we can pay attention to based on the distraction that is our day job. And I think that's also why we get so many status update calls. It's not that we couldn't have gotten back to that customer. It's just that we're like, squirrel, we got to deal with that. Squirrel, we got to deal with this. And when you have customers in front of you simultaneously, part of the challenge there is, what do I prioritize and how do I do that? So what do you think, Russell, in terms of the, getting people back from third parties, using technology to maybe optimize the day so that person can be more focused? I mean, what's your thought?
Well, I'm just going to focus on one thing here, tires. That's it. Let's start there. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
The two biggest defection points are tires and oil changes. Okay. Yes. If I talk to dealers, and I do every day, all day, they're all into the tire game. Okay. Well, the customers don't know that because we've tried that before. If it's true, and I believe it is, that a Toyota store, their competition is not another Toyota store. It's the 16 independents. Goodyear, Firestone, it goes on and on and on that surround her. Those are the ones that people are driving by. So the single largest purchase that a consumer is going to make during the warranty period are a set of tires. If they're not set up and they're not buying from you, what do you think the other place is telling them? We can do your wiper blades and batteries and alignments and brakes and all of that stuff like that. Now, the numbers I have today, unless somebody has some different numbers, 67% of those people, if they buy, they'll continue to service and buy a newer pre-owned vehicle from you. That is game changer, just the one thing, just game changer. But it has to be set up right. It has to be set up right. Transparency from the time they drive in to the when and the timeliness of the MPI, critical. And the advisor's conviction, commitment, and presenting recommended services. And hey, maybe not, if they're set up right, if you're just trying to sell me something, I'm going to know it. Okay. I'm going to know it. I think everybody's pretty much the same way. No, I got to give my husband, okay. If you have a way to present that in a way where they're off guard and they know that you're at least, we all get our tires from the same place.
Yeah.
We all get our tires but we have sent them packing. We've tried this over the years, 2 or 3 different times over the 4 decades. Yeah, the margins aren't there. We can't compete. What the hell? We get our tires from the same place. What do you mean you can't compete? The problem is you.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the challenge is you. Because if you'll do that one thing, the 7 out of 10, defection rate by the time the warranty period will almost be extinct. Just that one thing. I got a lot of follow up to that, but just tires.
Yeah, it's amazing when you go and service the car for the first time. And it's your first experience in service, but they're not getting into sort of like, okay, here's what we do down the road. Like, we're going to check this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this, but here's what your costs are going to be. There was a post on LinkedIn, I think it was this week, and they talked about the maintenance cost for all brands of cars over a 10-year period. So there's one for, say, the first 5 years, the one for, say, 10 years or whatever by brand. But one of the things to your point, which was kind of interesting, is if I know that person's driving, say, 5,000 miles or 10,000 miles between services, I pretty much can predict when their tires are going to wear out. So I can set them up for that and say, hey, not only do we sell tires, we have great prices, but more importantly, based on the way you're driving your car, this is an expense I would probably put into this time frame. So that way, when you drop on that tire thing later on, it's not a surprise. Like the red, yellow, green, or your MPI. And I know we did a series on video MPI, but more importantly, if you're not having that conversation before the tires are needing to be replaced, it's going to be a harder conversation. So it's not just we sell tires. It's we care about your driving the vehicle and being safe, and this is why we're telling you what the wear and tear is on say a new set of new tires on a new car or a set of new tires on a used car.
Yeah, listening to Larry so salespeople at this store where I went to visit him at, they get a lot of training downstairs by the manager on the floor, product training. Okay, they can know every nuance in and out about Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram. Okay, but if they don't learn what Larry teaches, they're going to be gone. They're not going to make any money. Consequently, on the flip side, you don't have to know jack diddly about any of that stuff. But if you know how to overcome the 5 or 6 most common objections in a sincere, real way, honest way, and get them to feel comfortable because they like you, they trust you, they believe they're going to buy from you, I think it's the same thing here. We just have to. Does that make sense?
Yeah. We know tires are expensive. We know
we
want to. We know service is needed.
No, it means I don't have enough information to get that yet.
We know you want to check your battery so it doesn't wear out on you. We know windshield wipers need to be replaced probably once a year. We know you probably want a clean car wash. We know you don't want to be upsold stuff that doesn't make sense. But again,
if you tell me if you were that service guy, he didn't even try to upsell me, and he said, "Do you have an appointment?" And then the level of communication after that, until I heard my name over the intercom an hour and a half later. Okay, don't try to sell me a damn thing.
No. Hey, Ron, how about if you humanize it and empathize? Because almost everybody in their life has endured a flat tire that screws you up when you're going to work. Your family, it can be dangerous. Hey, folks, I know it might seem a little expensive, but it's actually preventive. You're saving yourself a headache. You're keeping your car safer. And don't worry, I'll make the price as good as I possibly can. You're a great customer. I'll see if I can help. That's not complicated.
Yeah, like when's the last time you were servicing your own personal car where they said, hey, you bought the car 2 years ago. Generally, the tires that come with it aren't great because the manufacturer buys whatever's low cost. That you're going to get about this much mileage on the tires based on how you drive. You're probably going to need them in 6 months. Why don't I do this for you? Why don't I give you some pricing now so you can debate it? And then if you have questions, you can reach out to me, set up that sale. And I think that's something that could be done also even with a phone system like Numa or with an agent where they can say, hey, I'm looking at the history of your car. You drive 20,000 miles a year. You're on the first set of tires. You're probably going to need a new set at this point. Why don't we give you some information so you can make that decision? And the same is true with other services. Like, you're going to need windshield washer fluid. You're going to need wiper blades. You're going to need brakes checked at such and such an interval, right? Like it's in the owner's manual, but nobody reads that stuff.
No. I have some statistics. 6% of the people open up the owner's manual that buy a new vehicle, and only 2% even read some of it. John, let me ask you something. Because I really enjoy what I know about what you guys do, and can a dealership reach out to you just for like a consultation? Say, hey man, we're broke. Can you give us some thoughts or some insights of how we could start? Not overwhelming, but what can we want to go to the next level? Can they do that with Numa and you?
That's the only way we do business, honestly. We don't sell transactionally. We sell consultatively. One of the advantages we have from an automotive sales standpoint is product is highly customizable. I'll give you an example. We have about 75 to 80 Lithia scores on our platform. Not a single one of those implementations was set up the same way. And I think that's when I talked about earlier, these legacy software systems that we're sticking our employees to use, they're no longer relevant, right? So if I can design a product or a solution, better word, to solve specific problems, even down at the advisor level, right? I have an advisor that has these problems, or I have a BDC agent that has these problems. If you can get software to go down to that level and solve it at the employee level, you're solving it for the whole organization.
I agree. So here's what I'm telling everybody out there: you need to call John and look at Numa and see what they can do for you. That's what I think.
Thank you, Russell.
Absolutely. I mean, when you look at the scale of this problem, and when you look at, say, let's just say a store has 400 or 500 ROs a day that they're actually doing in the drive, a big store. How many phone calls are they getting? How many are they missing?
Four per RO, so that's 1,600 phone calls.
Yes. And can they handle those? Probably not.
They can't. They can't. Even if they have an external BDC or a specific BDC to handle service, they're only being reactive. And the whole point of bringing in a BDC is to generate business.
Yeah.
Right? Our BDCs today are trying to stop bleeding, not develop business, and that's a problem.
And Numa can work 24/7. So if someone called like 2 a.m, they'd still handle it. Is that how that works?
Yep, absolutely.
Either that or hire a psychotherapist to calm the customers down, right?
No, she can do that too.
Yeah. All right, I love it.
Oh, yeah. So we're almost out of time today. This flew by. It's kind of interesting. Where should dealers start? Like, what's the one thing they can start with other than, psychotherapy and maybe, getting their service manager some help on how to deal with the heat scores?
Let me say that I'll lose my thought. That's a great question. Okay. They've already addressed their thoughts and implemented things that have not worked.
Yeah.
So if I don't know John from Adam, but I like what he had to say, and I know a little bit about Numa and with some of the call somebody. Okay. You're wasting your time, money, effort, and energy. And the definition of saying is keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. Get some new input so you have some information on a way to go. And my understanding is, there's a lot of people out there. You call and consult, man. It's the same price. It's a full tilt boogie. No. If it's a consultative, customizable approach, etc., call Yuma. If you want really good stuff, call Larry. Yeah. And you want to hire, call Larry.
Yeah.
If you want something else, don't call me. I'm just kidding. But no, I'm just having fun. But I really do believe that. Because they just need new input. Their input, their ideas, they come from somebody else. If they're not bought in themselves, they don't have that belief system inside them. It's very short-lived. They implement some radical change really fast, and as soon as you do that, it leaves about as fast because improper implementation.
Fantastic. So, John, obviously, dealers are panicked about this. They've got too many calls. They're trying to fix service. They're trying to figure out why they're losing all these customers. Where do they start? What's your final thought on that? Like, how would they start?
Well, like I said, I believe in 2 years, if you don't have some sort of AI helping your humans be more efficient, you're not going to be a competitive dealer. Today, what they can do tomorrow when they get up and they start thinking about what's going on in my service department, they need to go to the whiteboard and they need to identify the 3 things that they can make an impact on, they can make their people make an impact on, and focus on those 3 things for 30 days. Don't chase the shiny objects like a crow, right? Let's focus on these 3 things. And when we start proving to our people that those 3 behaviors make a huge difference in reducing friction, increasing their pay, they start believing into the leadership. And it always comes back to the top. The dealer principal wants to keep their customers. They want to retain their customers. Do all the service managers want to do that? Do they want more customers? It's more work for them, right? So how do we make that top level equate to every single person down the chain in our dealership so we're all singing from the same hymnal and have the same goals and are going after those three things consistently to make sure that we can make an impact.
Therein lies the challenge.
Yeah, start, make a list, get it done, and execute 100%. I mean, I think part of the challenge when I spent a lot of time doing it, I used to do it monthly all over North America, was at the end of the business, like, here are the three things you got to do, and you come back next month, you haven't done any of them. Okay, let's start with the first one.
Yeah.
You haven't done anything in 30 days. Well, we're almost out of time. Larry, it looks like he's driving or whatever. So,
it's cool. Listen, what the dealer needs to do, first of all, is grab his statement and look at what he's made from fixed ops this year and last year.
Okay.
Think about the problems we've had with OEMs when there was COVID, when they were worried about tariffs and all the other things, and realize how much longer people are keeping their cars. Fixed ops, it's been our past, and it's going to be our future. And to not grasp how important it is, how much support it needs, give the people what they need, and actually have meetings. What John said, maybe we adjust the pay plan. It's just like salespeople get paid a little extra or get penalized if their CSI isn't up. Retention has to be a part of this. Getting the job done in a way where everybody's comfortable, in the sense that the customers are comfortable, might be the only way out. Because if you don't address the problem and you don't give people a chance to work their pay plan, I don't think things will ever get solved.
Maybe we start paying for behavior and not outcomes.
Exactly right.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it from the service side, and I know some service providers don't see themselves as salespeople, but the reality, that's what they're doing. But if you don't have customers in front of you, and more importantly, you're not maximizing that relationship and being of help to that customer, not only are you not growing your business, you're losing opportunities. I mean, I know when I worked for Dealer Effects years ago, the biggest loggerhead point was between the technicians and the service writers, because technicians had quote work and they weren't convinced the service writer was positioning that work to be done. So I think a lot of it's communication, not just between sales and service, but between the two sides of the service side of the house. But if you're losing 40% of your customers, that's crazy town, especially with ownership.
This is important. I hear dealer principals. I'm in so many different venues listening, mostly, although probably you didn't do that on this show, Russell, you're a motor mouth. But anyway, I mostly listen, and I just control the controllables. You can't control the new car frame. Not really. You have about 20% control. Control what you can control 100% of. That's your fixed operations.
Yeah, 100%. And then if you have extra time, fix parts.
Yeah.
Does Numa answer parts calls? Like, parts can you hold? Can they help with that?
We sure can.
AI, baby, AI.
Yeah.
So it's not the parts can you hold anymore, and they actually can help those people?
That's the first thing we have to train them, is not to do that. Let the AI do her job.
Well, thanks for the time today. Have yourself a great Friday evening. If you are available,
pleasure meeting you, John. Ian, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, guys.
And if you're available on Monday, we're doing Be Different or Be Dead show. So if you're 11 o'clock on Monday, let me know. Definitely tune in. It should be an interesting show. Have a great weekend.
I think so too. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you, gentlemen.